Smith County Board of Commissioners meeting is now in session. Honorable Mayor Jeff Mason presiding.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. Mr. Green, would you open us in prayer tonight?
Dear Heavenly Father, once again, well, thanks for being our presence. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask that you be with this meeting, dear Heavenly Father, that all things be done pleasing to you and in a good manner, dear Heavenly Father. Dear Heavenly Father, be with the sick and afflicted. These things we ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen. Join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Stacey, you start us with our roll call.
Shannon Green.
Here.
Glenn Reese.
Here.
Terry Gibbons.
Here.
Billy Bass.
Here.
Greta Kirby.
Here.
Jason Stewart.
Here.
Jimmy Winfrey.
Here.
Daniel Cripps.
Here.
Dalton Pascal.
Here.
Shannon Minchie.
Here.
Erica Evil.
Here.
Ron Shoemake.
Here.
Ron Cowan.
Here.
Linda Nixon.
Here.
Kobe McKinney.
Here.
Barbara Knappel.
Here.
Charles Kent.
Here.
Bill Reese.
Here.
Tommy Bain.
Here.
Joey Nixon.
Here. Dennis
Hackett.
Here.
Dustin Dillahay.
Here.
David Gross.
Here.
Frank Woodard.
Here.
Everyone, all 24 here. All right. All right. Item number 5 is the approval of the minutes of the last court meeting. That is found in page 1 of your. Are there any additions or corrections that we see at this time to those minutes? Yeah, Chaz brought up the first one on page 11. Where it says a motion was made by Kobe McKinney and it was seconded by David Bass. Either that was Billy Bass or David Gross. Do we remember?
David, I don't remember.
I didn't think it was probably. I think it should probably be David Gross. We'll look tomorrow and make for sure and make those adjustments.
I'll take the blame for it.
All right. Is there any other additions or corrections?
Make a motion to approve that correction.
Second.
Motion by Joey, second by. I have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Shannon Green. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes and the minutes are approved. All right, number 6 is announcements. And the first one on there is a new agenda format. And I'm sure you've all had a chance to look over it, or look at it and see it. I've talked to some of you about it. It's something we kind of, I won't say stole, but borrowed from a neighboring county that did it, and we really liked it. Thought it looked cleaner and more concise and for our work we do, and it's kind of a. Brandon didn't like it, and I said it's a living, breathing document, so we can make changes or add to, take away whatever you don't like about it. If you would prefer anything changed to it, any discussion or any ideas going forward that you would like to see or done to it, I'll take those right now. All right. And in this announcements part, this is if you've got something you'd like.
One question before we go any further. At the top it says it's regular meeting. I think it was sent out in a letter as a special call meeting. Is that not right?
Okay, we can change that then to a special call. Okay, fix that. All right. Any other? And like I said, in the announcements parts, this might be where you have something if you wanted to announce or something you wanted to bring out before we get started. We would entertain it at that point in time. If not, we'll move on to item number 7. This is something that we took in or are going to start doing. It is amendments to the agenda and the approval of the agenda. Is there any additions or subtractions from the agenda that we would need to take a motion on right now? All right, I would take a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Second by Ron. I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Not? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, thank you. Is there any old business? All right, we'll move on to item number 9. That's the county mayor report. And this is something we've added. It's a new kind of update on. I'll give a small report, and then Daisy will talk to you about something else from there. On as far as the Baker property, we've had a couple meetings on that. It's moving forward. You'll see something later on tonight on that. We have been working on some cuts inside of our office and county buildings. We have worked with Eugene, and he's been very helpful, and we've added some inmate crews to our mowing and lessened some of the mowing on our maintenance people, and we're working to bring that down more to maybe be able to maximize the time or cut more cost out that way. That's been a big help, and we thank Eugene and the Sheriff's Department for working with us on that. He's got a guy that's running that crew, and he thinks he's going to send him to school, but we're trying to keep him. I know you are, just had to say that. But that, and we've also other things we and it's small, but we cut out coffee. We don't buy coffee in our office anymore. If you want coffee, you bring it yourself. Today we looked at our rug swap outs. We're gonna stay on the same thing. It's gonna save us about $2,500 a year on rug swap outs in outside our buildings. Just some little things like that we're looking at, and that's just in the first month. So we're constant. I know our office and in budget finance office, our accounts and budgets also, we're looking every day at the things we can change and make better and cut cost on or become more efficient at. So from that, I will let Daisy talk on the financial reports.
Okay, what y'all got before you start on page 22 to 27, you've got cash flows for all funds. That has got July's actuals in it. Just a little for your information. Of course, everything else is estimated going forward from there. Does anybody have any questions on that before I go any further? Page 28 through 39 is just for a presentation item. No need for anything to be voted on. That's just the approval from the state for our trend note and the report on debt obligation that's required to be filed anytime we issue debt. I also emailed out Friday evening, I believe it was. I went ahead and sent you the year-to-date summary on, or not year-to-date, rather, the quarterly financial summary that I normally wouldn't present to you yet because I haven't closed the books. But I wanted you guys to go ahead and do a review, and I did put June's revenue in. Everything's not booked. That's receivables that's come in July and August. And I wouldn't say 100% of the payables have been booked, but most all of them have been booked at this point. I went ahead and sent it through all funds. I also included on page 11 just kind of a rough estimate of where we wound up. Of course, you guys decided to not transfer the money out for the jail note, and also we pulled in a little bit from the 156 fund that wasn't used for, that had been collected in bank excise tax that didn't have to be used for education debt. So I kind of gave you some estimated numbers in there on page 11 that showed us lining up at 364, 135. Again, that's an estimate. It's just kind of where I'm guessing that we'll wind up at. There may be a few more receivables I haven't accounted for, and there may be a payable or two I haven't accounted for. It shouldn't be anything drastic on this. This does allow us enough. Generally, our reserves are somewhere in the $175,000 to $200,000 range, so this left us enough room to cover our reserves and still have just a little bit of fund balance. Of course, you're going to see some budget amendments in a few minutes that have a fund balance connection to them that is related to grant monies that maybe were received last year, not all spent, and need to be carried over. So that's also needs to be accounted for there. Page 12 has a balance sheet as of July 31st, just to give you an idea where all funds were in the trustee's office. And then page 13 through 16, I think is the last one. 19. Y'all had asked about getting something, I know some had, a little more detailed to do with as far as what departments are actually spending money on in their different lines. So we decided to give you a copy month to month of requests that come through. Now, these aren't actually dollars spent. This is requested items, purchase orders that are issued, kind of what they're for, and their estimated cost. So those are there just for you guys to kind of be able to get a general idea on what everybody's spending their money on. It's in their budgets. And I'll take any questions. Do you have any?
David, I've got a question for you. Well, can we narrow that down to anything like over $500 or whatever? Because I don't think we need to know about a $2.30 torch like together, whatever.
That's something I can look into trying. This is just what we had on hand. When we wanted to bring you more details, we were trying to use something we already have without creating a new document. So that's something, of course, still take time, but I can look into that if y'all want to discuss an amount that is usual.
Where are big other things, but I mean, that's everyday thing.
Yeah.
This
will-
And
that-
that, set of more
yeah.
rates. That's-
That'll kind of tie into something we're gonna talk about later as far as our new purchasing procedure, so that ties in, you know, we'll talk about that, how we're gonna do that in the future. So, yeah.
Anybody else have any questions?
Any other questions? Okay, we will move on then. Item number 10 is committee reports. The only committee that has met since the last meeting would be, we had an Ag Center committee meeting last week. Had a very good discussion on what we're doing over there as far as our rentals and how we're going to change that and try to cut that loss down over there to, you know, bring that margin a little tighter. Stacy and I, we were given some homework that night that we're preparing some more stuff to go back in September. We're having another meeting second week in September. First Tuesday in September to get that down. We expect to maybe do some changes on the policy and pricing at that time. But as you'll see, this is kind of something that going forward, this is something we'll do when a committee meets in between the time of meetings. We would ask that the chairman give a report of what happened at that meeting. Just, you know, it doesn't have to be a 15-20 minute speech, just a kind of overview of what was discussed and what, you know, if there's any problems you're seeing or the good things that comes out of those committees. So that's something we added. So we'll move on. Any questions on the committee reports? All right. Number 11 is new business. This is kind of acknowledgements. This may be where we present our plaques or our honored, to our honored people and stuff like that. We'll take into consideration there and do those things. Appointments will be when we appoint boards, a person to boards or something along that line. And then that's A and B. C is approval. And it is the approval of the grant contract for JAG prevention and intervention for at-risk youth. It is part of your packet. I had asked Judge Collins to be here for any questions, Brandon. Okay, you may be able to answer any questions on it. But this is a grant through him it's the one that the city of Carthage had, and we ended up getting from them and taking over. So I just need a yes or no to sign this and send it to the state tomorrow. Are there any questions on this grant? If not, I would take a motion to approve it. Motion approved by Chaz.
Second.
Second by Terry. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. On the breakdown as to where the money's going to be spent for,
Yes.
I noticed that it had a youth service officer. Is that hire a new youth service officer, or is that, no?
I'm not sure. I know he is hiring some people inside that because there was money in there for him to hire new contract people now. For how that works now. This is 100% grant. It doesn't cost, it's money in, money out for us, correct, Daisy?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Or money out, money in, reimbursement grant.
Any of these new hires are all included in this grant, though, or they to be taken over by the county once the grant is out?
No. No, we don't normally do that, no, unless y'all approve it. And that would be something down the road, I mean, as of right now, no. Any other questions? Any other discussion? All right, since it involves money, Daisy, or Stacy, will you do us a roll call?
Shannon Green,
Yes.
Glenn Reese,
Yes.
Terry Gibbons,
Yes.
Billy Bass,
Yes.
Greta Kirby,
Yes.
Jason Stewart,
Yes.
Jimmy Winfrey,
Yes.
Daniel Cripps, Dalton Pascal,
Yes.
Shannon Minchie,
Yes.
Erica Ebel,
Yes.
Ron Schumake,
Yes.
Ron Cowan,
Yes.
Linda Nixon,
Yes.
Kobe McKinney,
Yes.
Barbara Knappel,
Yes.
Charles Kent,
Yes.
Phil Reese,
Yes.
Tommy Bain,
Yes.
Joey Nixon,
Yes.
Dennis Hackett,
Yes.
Dustin Dillahay,
Yes.
David Gross,
Yes.
Frank Woodard,
Unanimous, thank you. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to D, resolutions, and these are some, number one is a budget amendments, is our 101 fund budget amendments. It is on pages 41 and 42. Since these are monies, we can probably go through these one at a time, or you group, ever how y'all want to do it, I think. But we just do it, we'll just do it one at a time. So budget amendment 101 is for general fund. So again, any questions on those?
This all reserves and grant money? This all reserve and grant money?
Yes, so I can go through it just a little bit if y'all like.
Yeah, just a,
Since we didn't have budget and finance, y'all.
Yes. 52,500 for the county clerk. That is certificate of title reserve money. Cliff needed to replace some computers in her office. She did address that during budget talks. They knew that there was some reserve money out there for it. So she just needs to get that in her budget now. The data processing reserve for her office is usually completely exhausted by the time she takes her data processing service contract out of it for the year. But that certificate of title reserve had about a $25,000 balance, so there's more than enough there to cover that. Let's see, then in 53330 ARP, that is a grant where the drug court employees, they bill for their time that they service participants, and the state reimburses for that time, and then the money can only be used to assist those participants. So that was money that was collected in the 18-19 year that has not been used at June 30, that needs to be carried forward for them to be able to use for that purpose. The 54-240 is for the JAG grant that you guys just approved. That's 100% grant funded. 54-490, that is the EMA department, had a donation from Enbridge that they did not use at June, had not used at June 30. They asked to carry that forward to be used in this year. 55-170 is grant, 100% grant. That's pertaining to the Drug Coalition. 55-900 is the same, just another grant asking to move money within their budget. And 55-900 is a built environment grant for the health department. I believe it's going to be used for an inmate garden, and there was one other thing that Michael Rowling mentioned, but the funds were received the last week in June. Of course, no time to spend it within that short time frame, and needs to carry forward to be spent this year.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve resolution 1.
Have a motion. Joey second. Who second? Mr. Dustin. All right, I have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? All right, it's roll call. Stacy?
Shannon Green. Glenn Reese.
Yes.
Terry Givens.
Yes.
Billy Bass.
Yes.
Greta Kirby.
Yes.
Jason Stewart.
Yes.
Jimmy Winfrey.
Yes.
Daniel Cripps.
Yes.
Dalton Paspel.
Yes.
Shannon Meacham.
Yes.
Erica Ebel.
Yes.
Ron Schumake.
Yes.
Ron Cowan.
Yes.
Linda Nixon.
Yes.
Kobe McKinney.
Yes.
Barbara Knappel.
Yes.
Charles Kent.
Yes.
Bill Reese.
Yes.
Tommy Bain.
Yes.
Joey Nixon.
Yes.
Dennis Hackett.
Yes.
Dustin Dillahay.
Yes.
David Gross.
Yes.
Frank Woodard.
Unanimously passed. Thank you, Stacy. All right, item number 2 is Budget Amendment 101 for the general fund. It is found on page 43. It falls under the county coroner and medical examiner. What we're doing here is we are moving money inside that budget. It is not an ad. We're setting aside money, $15,913. That includes Social Security, state retirement, and a salary for basically a chief medical death investigator. It is something that we didn't have. We didn't have them, hadn't had one since probably May. And it had become an issue. Sheriff had come and expressed that it was an issue for the county, and it was something, and we decided to, since we have to, actually the medical examiner, Brandon, you can kind of help me with the code on that. It's not something that they don't, the death investigator reports to the medical examiner. He does not report to me, but we've kind of in the past run that program through our EMS section, and we're just basically sticking with that. What we're going to do is we're moving that money in the line, and then tomorrow morning we will post a job for that, post an ad for that job, and we'll conduct interviews and hire for that position. Any questions on that?
Will it be a present employee?
Could be, it could be somebody new.
If you check with wage and hour, worked out differences in pay scales for each, if that happens.
Yes, we worked all that through last week with.
I know there was a problem back several years ago where a county deputy was driving a bus, and they come in and made him stop one of the jobs. He quit driving the bus because they had to pay him the same pay as they were paying the deputy pay, and then also included his overtime.
Is this not a contracted service, or is this an actual Smith County employee?
We're setting it up to be a county employee for that reason.
Has it been a contracted service
Basically,
in the
yes.
past? Why
Is
is
that
it
correct?
not a contracted service now?
We can go back to contracted service. But you gotta find somebody will take it on a contract basis. And we don't have a problem, we can post it that way.
Does
I just
this,
wonder what the idea behind
I think the fire investigator is based that way.
Okay.
will there be other people underneath this investigator?
He'll have to have some help, yeah.
What are they going to be paid?
Right now, it's at $100 a call. That's what we've been doing.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I didn't hear that. It was like $100 a call or $700 a call?
100.
Okay.
Based on last year's figures, this will amount to over $300 per call to this investigator.
Correct.
And he'll be handling all calls.
Outside of the ones that when he takes time off and he schedules his people to do it, yes. But he'll handle all paperwork and reporting to the state, all the the, you know, all that stuff that has to be reported in on the website that we hadn't been doing in the last 2 months.
How many hours is this set up for?
Gosh, Terry, you did the job. How many hours did you spend on it last year?
No, I'm not asking that. This salary, how many hours is it set up for to be paying him on a weekly basis?
Well, let's see. Do quick math here.
What is it?
Well, it wouldn't matter whether,
It's the same as a fire investigator.
yeah, but the fire investigator is not a state, is not already a county employee.
I thought he just said he was.
He was.
Was it one thing?
Not now.
Right. It's like $300 a week.
And then, that's dollars, how many hours is that figured up as?
There's not hours been, I mean, we don't know how many hours he's going, I mean, he might work no hours, he might work 100 hours. I mean, depends on how many days, we don't know.
Well, you've got to know whether this is gonna be an hourly job or a,
Okay.
because whether, if you're gonna be paying him time and a half or overtime.
No, we won't be paying it, no, we're paying it, it's a salary.
The salary, you're getting paid one lump sum.
It's one lump sum, yeah, divided by 26 pay
Fire
periods.
investigator, he gets paid the same amount whether he does 2
Well,
calls. he
it
does
kind of makes a difference in whether you pay state retirement on it or not, as to how many hours it's involved in. If it's a part-time job, you wouldn't get state retirement. If it's a
What's the
full-time
difference
job.
between it and the fire investigator? The
Right.
fire investigator gets paid the same amount regardless of how many calls he does a year.
I think he's under contract, it's not under.
Well, I mean,
it's
we
not
can
broke
make
down
it
like
contract.
this, not-
Yeah, I mean, we can make it contract. We don't have to make it a salary.
I just wonder what your idea, why you decided to do that.
We had to have a death investigator.
I know, but why did you decide?
And we had to
make
have
it?
somebody that could oversee that and could load that information in the computer and make sure, basically protect us and the sheriff's department
I'm
when
not
they go to.
questioning, I'm questioning why you decided to go from a contracted service to an employee.
We just felt like at that point in time, it was, if we're gonna post it internal, we're gonna give it, I mean, if we have to go outside the county, then yeah, we'll have to go to a contract labor.
I think, to summarize this, of course, I may be wrong, but if you go with contract service, then you don't have to pay any benefits.
Right.
or retirement. It would
Right. We
actually
figured it
say-
as a county employee because we figured a county employee would,
It would actually
would,
save the county money if it's contract
okay, yeah,
for one lump sum.
Yeah.
Like, Mr. Green said, no matter if they get one
Right.
call or 10 calls a week.
okay,
You get the same amount of money, but you don't get any benefits.
Right.
No insurance, no retirement, nothing.
right.
If it was done that way, there wouldn't have to be a budget amendment, correct? Because it's already.
No, it's already in there,
a
right,
contract
so we can do
service.
it.
You Write that contract for whatever, at your discretion.
Yeah.
That-
When we were running up under a contract up until May, what was the yearly average cost of running on that contract versus this $15,000?
Gosh. Daisy, you got those numbers?
It's,
$25,000.
How much?
5,000, that's 50 calls is $100.
We did how many calls last year? Terry, you remember?
Close to 70.
So $7,000, yeah.
70 wouldn't fall in under is that 70 that was, all 70 were not sent?
Whether it's an autopsy or
Okay,
not,
what was not sent to autopsy.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
I mean, we put it out there, we can just go straight, right back to $100 a call and see how many people we can get to sign up to do it.
I don't care what you do, I just wanted to know why. Just if there was a reason behind why you changed it. That's all, I mean, I don't care which way you do it. Whichever way you
Have we
think
been
best.
able to actually have people interested in that position since May or not? If we haven't, I mean, you're unable to find anybody to work for $100 a call for that amount of time, that many hours that they're putting in.
I ain't had nobody beating the door down, I mean, I'm not
I worked
anybody,
the call last week as a
Do what?
medical investigator.
do what now?
There's one individual worked the call last week as a medical
Right,
investigator.
because I asked him to help us out because of the sheriff's concerns.
Yes, sir.
and I spent 4 hours on that call. And $100 ain't enough to cover it. The stuff I have to see ain't worth it. I won't do it. I'm not gonna do it. I don't expect anybody in this room would. I see enough.
Think about it, they're on call too, their day is shot.
Yeah, they
There
can't
is
leave.
no going with your family to eat, there is no doing this, doing that. When you're on call, you're stuck at home.
Wait, no, it's not.
Well, if you've got 3 or 4 running out of ambulance service to make a call, and the investigator's not there and available, then, I mean, you're still gonna be paying the other 3 or 4 people the $100 a call, or you gonna raise theirs too? This one says he wouldn't work for $100 a call now, so are you gonna raise his also?
Mr. Bass, what's your recommendation?
Yeah,
I think you need to send it back to Budget and Finance, look at it, and have somebody from Wade and I come down and tell you that whether you can use it or not on him working 2 jobs. If you're gonna be a county employee, he's got two jobs, are you paying him the same per hour or what? So,
okay, well, we can do that. Are you willing to take you willing to do the investigations? Because are you still paramedic, you still have your license, right?
yes, sir, I do.
Would you be willing to do
I
the,
told you when they turned in their things, if you needed me, call me.
okay, we'll do that.
Well, the thing, I mean, you're gonna open this up to the public as a job.
No, well, I mean, there's qualifications.
Yeah, but I mean, you're opening it up, and anybody with those qualifications can apply, correct?
Yeah. And at the end of the day, if you read the Tennessee code, we don't even, I mean, actually the medical examiner is the one that hires the death investigators. We're just doing we're trying to do what we've been doing to make this work so the sheriff and we all feel protected and we're not putting ourselves out there liable for anything.
Has the medical investigator been asked about it?
Yes. He wants, I mean,
Not
he
investigator.
examiner, yes.
Examiner.
We've talked to him. He just wants to be the medical examiner and we handle the investigation. Is that a true statement?
Could you explain to the body about the medical examiner and how much he's paid?
He's paid nothing.
How many years has he done it? He's done it as long as I've been on here. I don't think years and years he's done it for nothing.
Sheriff, I hate to put you on the spot, but is there any way that you can explain the liability that the county has when we do not have a death investigator?
I don't think he has to be a paramedic or EMT.
No, he can be a or physician's assistant, a
That's
nurse.
wrong. It has to be an EMT at least to be a death investigator in state of Tennessee.
Yeah, but he can be, but it can be a physician's assistant or a nurse practitioner, a nurse, or an EMT.
Mr. Chairman, hold some kind of license by the state.
Right. Sheriff was coming up to talk, so.
Sheriff, could you want?
I'm going to.
Okay,
One
thanks.
situation you get into a lot of times is when you go to a scene where there's a homicide. You need to have someone that is trained in the medical profession. We have detectives here. You need someone out there to examine the body and do the things that a medical investigator to do. Because what happens if you have to go to a trial on that situation, and I can tell you that any defense lawyer is going to ask those questions. And the first question, well, who examined the body? Detective so-and-so. And the detectives also, next question, what qualifications do you have to do that? Well, did you go through any type of training? Did you do any EMT? Do you have a medical death investigator? You're not going to get a medical examiner, which is typically a physician that oversees this, leaving his office, her office, to come out to a scene in order to do this. It's just not going to happen.
And it needs to be somebody totally detached from the sheriff's office or our
Correct.
investigation.
I knew the answer. I just wanted the body to know the answer to that.
There's a lot of complicated gyrations when it comes to a homicide. Typically, you're going to have TBI out there. You're going to have the sheriff's department working in conjunction with it. And you need a medical death investigator out there. It's just that simple. In order to protect the county from exposure, protect the sheriff, in order for prosecutions to be carried out effectively as well. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So what about the previous investigators that we had that's done, turned in their resignation from the position? Will they still be considered, or?
If they want to apply, yes. But I mean, it depends on how we're gonna compensate, I guess.
But we're gonna have to come back and raise that compensation up to $100 from them.
That's what I'm asking. I mean, do we need to do, I mean, is that something we want to decide tonight? Do we want to just up the call and go with that route? And then they do their own paperwork and nobody oversee them, they just handle it on their own on a per call basis?
What does the surrounding counties pay to have?
It just varies. I mean, a lot of those are paying doctors. We don't pay the doctor. We can table it and move on and have a call budget and finance between now and September to discuss it more. But at the end of the day, we need to figure out what we're going, I mean, in the temporary, what are we going to do for death investigators? Continue on paying them $100 and hope that we get it done?
He could cover it, didn't he? That's right, so if you cover it, I say we do that.
I'll put it in a motion form. I recommend Mr. Billy Bass be the special investigator.
I'll second.
$100 an hour, $100 an hour.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion, Mr. Bass?
Till September meeting.
Yeah. Well, budget, yeah, till September meeting, yeah.
So explain to me what we're gonna do again.
Mr. Billy Bass has become our, with this, when this passes, Mr. Billy Bass will be our death investigator till their September county court meeting, or until budget and finance comes with a better proposal and decides what they want to do there. He may be the death investigator forever.
No offense, Mr. Billy Bass, but
That'll put a child through college.
That's true.
are you I mean, you have the qualifications to
Yeah,
do
he's
this
in,
job?
yeah, he's,
I still carry a paramedic license.
Okay, so you're gonna.
As far as I know, I'll check tomorrow morning and see when that changed.
Have you had the training class done at the state medical examiner's office to be a mental health investigator?
No, I have not, but anybody that's new hired here until they, I mean,
Mr. Chairman, may I speak for a second?
yes, sir.
Per state of Tennessee, the medical examiner will have to appoint that person. He'll have to go through background checks and get approved through the state before that position can be held by anybody.
Okay.
For our vote.
So,
The
yeah.
arsenal's meaningless.
Yeah, it's meaningless. Yeah, so we'll have to do that, yeah.
If there's a homicide tonight, who's going to investigate it?
State's not gonna come do it, right? I mean,
No, sir. They will not step in and come in and do an investigation. They'll just step in all their jurisdiction. And they said the county could not afford the medical examiner on actual come and do a case.
Well, I wanna, say one more thing, and I'll,
we can do it just, I just need somebody that, we need to figure out something where we got a death investigator tomorrow. I don't have a problem in redoing this whole thing. We'll put out an RFP for a new medical examiner and we'll change how we do that and let them, it would be less of a headache if we got a medical examiner and they did it that way. That would be easier and then it's off us and we still have it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to speak just a second.
Okay.
The reason we don't have a medical death investigator at this time is because death calls have increased 50% over the past 5 years.
Correct.
The workload has increased drastically.
Correct.
So that's why the current death investigators that we have decided that they're tired of doing it for $100.
Yeah. That's true.
So regardless of what we do, the rate's gonna have to be more, or you're not gonna find somebody that's gonna go over here in South Carthage in a warehouse where a body's been there for a couple of weeks and you can smell it 15 feet outside the building. With that being said, I make a motion, we pass resolution number 18-2019-02.
Mr. Chairman, you got a motion on the floor.
Do what now?
We already have a motion on the floor.
There's already a motion in a second.
There was a motion, a second to, that was for Billy Bass, so we need to vote.
Just so we're clear, even if we pass that motion, it wouldn't be legal, because what we did was try to
Right.
put someone in a position that they're not qualified to do it.
Well, and you've got anybody you hire new off the street that comes in here,
Right.
that's not already been in that class, they've got to go to that class.
Correct.
So even if it's somebody different that's not already employed, they would still have to go to the class that period of time.
True.
You can have them withdraw that motion or vote it down.
Mr. Gross, would you like to withdraw that motion, or would you like to speak?
I want to speak on something.
Okay.
Mr. Beller, Mr. Hopper, and us, several of us, we've been in this profession a long time, and stuff. We fall under the 15th Judicial District. Why not let Mr. Beller or the sheriff or you want to make a phone call in the morning at 8 o'clock to Tommy Thompson, and until we can get this worked out in Smith County, borrowing a medical examiner from Trousdale County or Macon County or one of the 5 or 4 other counties in the 15th Judicial District, and until we can get this worked out. Somebody that is willing to take this, or let Tommy Thompson,
What we gonna pay them?
we're gonna pay them $100 a call.
I think most of them in the other surrounding counties are the EMTs, paramedics that work with the ambulance service, or it's part of their job requirement, job duties.
Okay.
They may pay them extra per hour for that or something like that, but that's part of their job duties,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken. And that's something that the county can do here.
And I'll add one other thing, the state regulated mileage. If you get somebody out of Trousdale County, they have traveled 35 miles, you pay them a per diem set by the state rate per mileage. And if they're out on the call for more than 3.5, 4 hours, then you give them the meal per diem for that 8 hours or whatever that's set and mandated by the state.
Okay. So are you staying with your motion that Mr. Billy Bass
Yes,
did? Okay. So,
Until you or whoever wants to do it, sir, Mr. Beller, whatever, can contact Mr. Tommy Thompson, the DA, of the 15th Judicial District, and see who he recommends, or get somebody on board with this. 'Cause like I
Would
said, hopefully,
would that only fall under homicides, Brandon?
Well, I mean, I know, I speak to Towson County, they've got a medical examiner that they pay, they compensate, and how that's a little different system that's set up there, so I don't think General Thompson has any control over that, the county commission does. They're the ones that exercise the compensation and approving the appointment and whatnot.
I'm sure, I understand what you're saying, but I'm sure he can make a strong recommendation.
I'm sure he's probably dealt with several of them, how closely, I don't know. But I'll be happy to make a call to it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
the
sir.
only thing I'm gonna say on this is, we're willing to pay our fire investigator the same amount of money. How many fire calls did we have last year? 3 fire calls that the fire investigator come out on versus 70 medical calls. For the same amount of money, that to me, it's a no-brainer to go ahead and get done.
It's got to be done.
Okay. You have a motion and a second to elect Billy Bass to do this till we get it worked out, and we'll take, roll call on this, Stacy, just make sure we get a true count. We're voting on appointing Billy Bass as a death investigator until the September commission meeting, or the Budget and Finance Department Budget and Finance has met. That's what we're voting on right now, and if you vote it down, then you can come back with your other motions.
So who's gonna do our investigations until he's trained?
We're gonna call Tommy Thompson in the morning, and try to get somebody, is what Mr.
I don't think you have to.
I know when all this first came about, David, to answer your question on that part, I contacted ADA Jack Barrett, asked him, what are we gonna do? He said, well, let me get with Tommy. Like you said, he said, we may be able to use our medical investigator. For some reason, that never came about.
All right, roll call, Stacy.
Shannon Green,
No.
Glenn Reese,
No.
Terry Givens,
Yes.
Billy Bass, Never mind.
Abstain.
Abstain.
Greta Kirby,
Yes.
Jason Stewart,
No.
Jimmy Winfrey,
Yes.
Daniel Cripps,
Yes.
Dalton Pascal,
No.
Shannon Minchie,
Yes.
Erica Abel,
Yes.
Ron Schumake,
Yes.
Ron Cowan,
Yes.
Linda Nixon,
Yes.
Kobe McKinney,
No.
Barbara Knappel,
Yes.
Charles Kent,
No.
Bill Reese,
Yes.
Tommy Bain,
Yes.
Joey Nixon,
Yes.
Dennis Hackett,
Yes.
Dustin Dillahay,
Yes.
David Gross,
Yes.
Frank Woodard,
Yes.
17 yeses to 7 noes?
6.
6 noes and 1 abstention. All right. All right, so resolution number 08-2019-03, no, not that one, sorry. 02 is now removed from tonight, so we won't vote on it.
I'll ask that if you bring Budget and Finance Committee, somebody from the Waste and Hour office in to talk on that.
Yeah, we'll get, I'll get, yeah, we can get somebody on that. Or we get Sherry to reach out to him, get an answer on it.
I'd like for one to come down if you can,
Okay. All right.
because that was an issue in the past. That they were making different salaries up, different.
How do we get through that with where you're splitting 2 jobs, Jeff?
So again,
I said, how do we get through that since it's 2 jobs with you?
I have a EMS director salary, which is a full-time position, and I have a 911 director salary, which is considered a part-time position.
So that gets it
And
around?
that is a salary. I
Okay.
get paid-
There's
I get paid
911 through the county.
Right. But it should be the same, I mean, if you're hiring it, you would hire that person as a part-time, right?
But his part-time 911 is not hired by the county.
Okay.
He's hired by the 911 board.
Correct.
Okay.
Are there any other concerns that we need to bring up at that meeting other than the wage per hour thing? Because we don't need to drag our feet on this.
No, we gotta get it done.
So, we need to address any problems that there's gonna be at that meeting.
Okay. Well, once we get that said, if there's any, if you guys have any other thing, if you don't have anything tonight, if you think of something tomorrow, we'll put it on the agenda for that night to discuss as part of this.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
while we're on the subject, speaking of the 911 director, before we leave tonight, I'll need all of your good contact information so dispatch can get ahold of you 24/7. From here, we'll get something done, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right. All right,
Mayor, I'm gonna ask one question.
yes, sir.
Brandon will answer it for complete. If we have something tonight, who we call? Is he gonna be legal to do it? If he hadn't been to the class?
We're in
Sir,
and the qualifications I don't have right in front of me, so.
But
I have
make sure
served
that
as
whoever-
assistant.
I just wanna make sure that whoever we call is.
All right. Next one is budget amendment number 3. It's for the 151. It's on page 44. And it is, Daisy, you can just speak to that real quick, what it is?
This is to finish out the energy efficiency program for the school. It's just money coming in from the state. We transfer it over to the 141 fund. If you look on page 45, there's another amendment to the 141 fund in the same amount. They turn around and pay the bills for the energy efficiency program. This is the last. It should finish up, I believe Norma said they believe around August. That's what both of those are.
So 3 and 4 kind of tie together.
That's correct.
would we have any, since those tie together, is there anybody you want to tie them together or vote on them separately?
Make a motion to come and vote together.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Dustin, seconded by Tommy.
Is that to approve too, or is that to approve?
To approve both of them, yes. Is there? Yes, resolution 3 and 4. I have a motion and a second to tie these two together since they do the same thing and they're just different ones. Any discussion? No. Roll call, Stacy.
Shannon Green,
Yes.
Glenn Reese.
Yes.
Terry Givens,
Yes.
Billy Bass,
Yes.
Greta Kirby,
Yes.
Jason Stewart,
Yes.
Jimmy Winfrey,
Yes.
Daniel Cripps,
Yes.
Dalton Pascal,
Yes.
Shannon Michie,
Yes.
Erica Ebel,
Yes.
Ron Schumake,
Yes.
Ron Cowan,
Yes.
Linda Nixon,
Yes.
Kobe McKinney,
Yes.
Barbara Knapple,
Yes.
Charles Kent,
Yes.
Bill Reese,
Yes.
Tommy Vane,
Yes.
Joey Nixon,
Yes.
Dennis Hackett,
Yes.
Justin Dillahay,
Yes.
David Gross,
Yes.
Frank Woodard,
Yes.
Unanimously passed. Thank you, Stacy. All right, resolutions 5, 6, and 7 are some new tax referendum for discussion only. Mr. Beller is the one that wrote these, and I'll kind of, since these are discussion only, I'll kind of let Brandon walk us through those.
CPPN.
Do what now?
Resolution number 5 in my packet is the CPPN resolution.
It's 8 in mine.
I'm going to wing it then.
All right.
I'll go along with something else. Okay. Wheel tax resolution. We've had a lot of discussion. This is not before you tonight to vote on. This is a proposal only as far as wheel tax. We discussed this in, I believe, our June meeting and our July meeting. This is not a regularly scheduled meeting. You can only pass a wheel tax resolution at a regularly scheduled meeting, 2 consecutive meetings, and it requires a supermajority to pass. What is proposed, or what I believe is the resolution, since I'm winging it a little bit here, is a $50 wheel tax proposed to go toward the general fund. It is to set it on for referendum in the March 2020 election. We'll need to have this in place and approved if it's the will of this body, sometime prior to December 4th, 2019, in order for it to be placed on the referendum, in speaking with Ms. Gibbs. It's for your consideration. Again, there's no action necessary. It's for discussion item only. This is in conjunction with, and maybe Clifton, you can tell us about what a $50 wheel tax would do in the way of revenue generation. I thought at one time it was $905,000. That sound about right? That was the figure I think that was generally. So that's a general thought process on that. But again, my office is open if anybody has any questions that would like to discuss this one-on-one or in a small group. But it's here for you to discuss tonight.
And the only reason we would even consider putting this on would be to be able to pull property tax pennies back next year when we pass the budget. There's
Did I
no.
read that in the resolution, or?
No, sir.
We talked about that.
We talked about doing that. One of the things that for simplicity's sake, is I want to try to make the resolutions as simple as possible, because when you put it on for referendum, it needs to be very clear. I think we had some issues with the last time we had a wheel tax or a sale tax on for referendum. It's one of the reasons we had to repeal some of it, because the language is on the referendum. This is basically are you for it or are you not for it? Now, again, in order to say tied to property tax, it gets in much, we're going to say, well, we're going to pass a $50 wheel tax and say we're going to knock off 12 cents, 14 cents, 10 cents, 20 cents, depending on how much revenue it brings. I'm not real sure how to get that language across in order to do that, to tie that into a referendum. really, I don't know if you can in order to do that. I think it's a matter of just seeing what the revenue brings in this fiscal year to make that determination how much of the property tax you pull back.
Is there a way to kind of guesstimate what that could possibly be if it was around like $900,000? How much we could possibly pull back?
That was the numbers that I presented for a while. It's roughly around 20 cents.
Around 20 cents off?
It's 19, 20, 21, 22.
Off the
Yeah, that's how you equate it, basically.
Just divide the penny value by
Yeah,
that.
40,000 into 950,000 would give you a number. Just, I got a question, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Miller, that 2/3 majority for 2 meetings, and that is not to enact a wheel tax, that is to put it on referendum, so everybody's clear. It's not enacting, it's to give the people a vote, not to enact.
You are correct. Now, you can pass it by resolution, 2/3. This body can do that, but as we're aware, if there's the possibility that 10% of voter electorate in the last gubernatorial election could petition to pull it back. This puts it up for referendum and let the people decide.
Now, I just want to be clear, because my intention when I brought it up was to give the people a vote, not for us to enact, but to give the people a chance to vote.
Correct. You have options, but this specific resolution is put over for referendum.
So if you're on referendum, you only need a majority then?
Yes.
So rough numbers is somewhere around 22.5 cents.
Yeah, I think that's what the
Yeah.
picture was, 20.
And Brandon, if we state that it only goes to the general fund, and in 2 to 3 years, we've got our problem fixed, and we've made our adjustments to our budget, and that $900,000 is out there, would we be able to reapportion it to the roads or a school building? No.
If
You
you
put it out to capital outlay project.
We could remove it, but we would have to vote again, right? It would be-
Well, if you put it up for referendum, and that's one of the issues that we had before, you deal with it by referendum. And so there has to be this particular resolution puts it for referendum to fund the general fund, no other funds. So, and Mr. Bass, I believe you asked a question about, can you put it over to capital projects? Did I hear that correctly?
Not necessarily put it over to, can you fund capital projects out of the general fund?
Well, that's something that we can, yes, I mean, it funds the general fund, but you can take the general fund and transfer it over, so.
Which is what we got into with the jail note, correct? Which
So,
puts a strain on your general fund at the end of the year.
Misrepresents your funds is what.
It represents, yeah. Yes, sir.
Can we designate any of the wheel tax go to the road in writing, part of it, the rest of it go to tax first?
I mean, you can look.
That's what this is for, discussion. I mean,
This is what the discussion for. You can do a lot of things with how you
Right,
want
if
to.
you wanted to pass on the resolution, let them vote on it, they'll have, each party go to the road if we do.
Mr. Chairman,
Can I speak?
But that's less property tax you pull back.
Well, if you drop it 1 penny, you'll be pulling it back, well,
I'm just saying. Yes, sir.
I've been in several meetings since last fall, and there's a lot of people sitting in this room that has promised the road commissioner that we would help.
Mhm.
I don't believe we need to pass anything if this is going to cut him out. We've got people that are suffering on our county road.
I agree.
And I know that a lot of the commissioners don't live on county road. They may not ever see a county road. But I wish they would, what they would look. Let's don't pass something that we have promised. I have.
Yeah.
I promised
agree,
that
yeah.
man that I was gonna help him.
Yeah.
And we don't need to pass something without discussing this. And I'm sort of like Mr. Bass. This should have come up in the budget finance committee.
Okay. We can.
I felt, I know we passed it the last time, or we passed something, I don't remember, but I don't think we had time to think about it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're not voting on it. This is what this is.
Concerned about some of our residents that live on Big Road.
I'm with you. I agree. It's that 800-pound gorilla in the room.
I understand.
If we're going to have a budget and finance meeting before our September meeting, let's put it on then and discuss it then to make a recommendation. County Commission has the full control over it. Budget
Right.
and finance can make the recommendation.
I was under the impression before the last meeting that we could redirect it if we had to.
That's why I asked that question.
But what Mr. Beller is saying
Is we
makes
could.
perfect sense.
Yeah.
Let's, we've made enough mistakes.
Well, like you
Let's
said, we
make
don't,
another.
thank you. You're right. I mean, we've got till December. I agree. We've got till December to get this passed twice, so we've got 2 or 3 months to hammer this out and figure out exactly how we want to do it. That's true?
That's correct. And Mr. Winfrey, this is just a
I understand.
discussion only. And part of the reason we had this special call meeting was for this very purpose. Get a move on these things because of the time frames.
Yeah. We just want, we don't want to act like, after what is transpired in the past, we don't ever want to make that mistake again. We want to get the discussion started now, but we also want to be able to show that we are looking forward, trying to figure out different ways to do this. So, and that kind of falls along with the sales tax referendum as well, wouldn't it, Brandon? We still have to discuss how we want to do that.
Well, that's what on the correct agenda, it's items 6 and 7, along with it for discussion. I know you don't have the sales tax resolution in front of you. That's something that I had looked at, and it's not in the packet, but is the hotel occupation tax, is it in the?
Is it in the packet?
No.
No,
That's item number 6.
Item number 6, we've been discussing that lodging, about capturing revenue from lodging, Airbnb, lodging, campgrounds, hotel, motel. And essentially, what it requires, we cannot pass it by a resolution or referendum. We have to do it by private act. So we will need the sponsorship of Senator Pody or Representative Weaver in order to get this done. Again, this is something that we have been discussing, and maybe something this body wants the Budget and Finance Committee to look at and come back on. But I have put together an actual proposal for the private act, which I believe is 5% off of every charge is what it generates. Now, do we have any idea on estimates? Nary a clue.
Not a clue.
We don't have an idea about what it will bring, but it is another option that we're putting before this body to consider. With campground, that may be quite a few folks, but from what I understand, Jackson County's passed one by private act. We used somewhat a similar model that they used. Trouser County, because they're a metropolitan government, they don't have to have a private act, they can do it. There's a special statute that allows them to do it. They've done it. So it's just another option for revenue streams that will help with lower the
Property tax.
Mr. Butler, does the CAF have it, or do you know?
I'm not sure. There's a list of counties that have them, and they range from anywhere from 3% to, I've seen this 8%. So a lot of your counties in the east, your Sevier County and Knox County, they have a lot of that. And I believe Metropolitan Davidson County does too.
Yeah, they have a hotel motel tax.
There was a legal issue about whether or not to do Airbnbs. That case is still ongoing. Memory serves me correct.
Yeah.
Mr. President, would that also go for the people that comes into our county, county court, would that also apply to them as well?
Lodging.
If they spend the night.
Lodging. There's certain requirements to that. I'm not recalling that right off the top of my head, but it has to be, it's not your monthly rentals. It's more of your short-term rentals, basically, is what it amounts to.
I think we need to look at something for that there, because they come in here running our roads, tearing our roads up, you got people coming in here every weekend by bus loads, and we need to somehow conquer something from them.
Well, I anticipate there'll be some form of resolution that's presented to this body for review and approval before the end of the year in order for, like I said, Senator Capote or Representative Weaver to sponsor for us.
And I don't know if we've heard anything back from either one of them yet
Not yet, but I'm sure they will.
about their willingness to do that.
I'm sure they will.
But Jackson County just went very fast recently, so I expect us, they would follow suit with us too.
Can we not discuss the wheel tax and sales tax tonight?
Yeah.
Why does it have to wait for
It
budget?
doesn't.
We can discuss it tonight, correct?
We can discuss whatever. We couldn't pass because it's a special call meeting.
Right, but I'm not looking to pass anything. I mean, I don't know why we're waiting to discuss it while we're all already here.
Because so, we can discuss it, yeah.
So whatever you want, so.
Yeah, if you
Well,
got,
I mean, I just didn't see the point of waiting and having a budget and finance committee meeting to discuss it when we can discuss it right now.
Just did, Cole.
Well, I mean, I know, but.
and basically, what was it, was to send it back to Budget and Finance and let them research it and make sure we do it right. But we can discuss it tonight.
We made it pretty clear at the last meeting that there ain't no point to have a budget and finance committee. The decisions are made by this body. We need to discuss it now. Why can't we discuss it now?
What are you gonna talk about?
Well, what do we want to do? Do we want to do I mean,
I see what he's talking about. He's talking about.
Yeah, I understand what he's saying.
Portion for the road commission, a portion for the.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we can beat the horse to death while we're in budget committee.
Right. Well, this is just the first night. I mean, like I said, we don't have to pass anything till
I mean, does any
November.
commissioners have any ideas on what percentage would want to go to roads and
what
what
percentage?
percentage would go to
General fund?
general fund?
If we did that, would it not have to be two separate wheel taxes? One for the roads, one for general fund, and two separate votes?
Steve?
Just as a road superintendent, I know it's for a fact, your wheel sticker can only go to one department at a time.
So then it would
Yeah,
have to be
it'd be two.
two votes on the referendum.
You can't be two, so you can only go to one place at a time.
But you're putting two different wheel
Either the roads
taxes.
are getting it, or the general fund are getting it, or the schools are getting it.
You would vote like say on $50 wheel tax for the general fund and $10 wheel tax.
Yeah, or
for-
25 and 25. It
Right.
would be two votes on the referendum.
Right.
Or it can all go to general fund, and then the body here debit out to the county road department to use for building roads
Could do that.
actually from the general fund balance.
You just
So we
move,
can do that?
you could just move more pennies, yeah.
What I'm saying, you just have to move more pennies in.
Well, you don't necessarily move more pennies, you can designate it for road construction payments.
Capital project, yeah.
I mean, you kind of get in the neighborhood there again of what is it, the thing of maintenance at the. like
Maintenance of
sheriff-
effort.
Maintenance of effort. Maintenance of effort, if you give him pennies, he's going to retain them pennies throughout wherever.
True.
So,
Mr. Beller, I think you stated.
Run it through your capital projects.
This didn't, this wouldn't have to be given to the Legislative Commission until December, right? I mean, is that what
we
you
won't meet
said?
in December.
Well, but we have a meeting from now until December.
Yes.
Be October, November.
Just kind of prelude, there's going to be, there's a resolution to change the amount of times that you meet, there's reschedule the number of regular scheduled meetings, so we'll actually have some additional meetings. The only time we won't meet in that resolution
Be
is
December.
in December. But I did speak to Yvonne Gibbs, and she indicated that it's December 4th, we need to have, so by November, if we're going to put something on for referendum, we need to have a decision made, so that puts us September, October, November. That's why a lot of these discussions are being brought tonight, we're thinking about them
Yeah.
for the months to come.
Our deadline is really the November meeting to get this finalized, is really what we're
Correct.
looking
Well, it's actually October because you gotta do two readings, correct?
at. If you were doing twos, but
That'd be October, November, or October, November.
October, November, so you've got one to somewhat, you got time, but a
Yeah.
decision needs to be made.
Before October.
That's why I was wanting to discuss it tonight, because we
Yeah,
got one more.
I'm with you, yeah.
Between now and the time we have to start voting. So, I mean, so what you're saying now is we could put a $50 wheel tax towards the general fund, and then later, as the body, reallocate that money to the road department, or to a highway capital projects fund. Is that correct?
That
What
is,
you
that's
understand?
my way I understand, yes. Any other discussion? All right, we'll move on. All right, resolution number 8 is our first reading of our CPPN resolution. It is for the development of the Baker property. And I have asked Mr. Mark Farley with the Cupertino Development District to come and kind of address us on the Baker property and kind of what the state sees there and how what the long-term vision and goal is with that property. So, Mr. Farley, if you would.
I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk with you. Let me just talk a little bit about why we are so excited about this property. Obviously, if you see the growth of Nashville, you see how it's coming this way. You study Nashville, the Dixon side is not getting the same type of growth as what is coming to the east. And obviously, when you start looking at available industrial properties from Lebanon on towards the east, there's not a whole lot. Certainly nothing sitting right off Interstate 40, which would be very, very attractive. You would have the opportunity to have 2 building sites there, which is very exciting in itself, both of them very large. You know, the state is in the process of putting a sizable amount of money into that property for development of those building pads. TVA has already put money into it towards the purchase of it. Yeah, that's very encouraging in and of itself. TVA is in the business of bringing energy consumers. So they're thinking that's a good possible site for somebody that's going to use a lot of power. So that's going to probably be looking at heavy manufacturing, high-paying jobs, and that's what we need for the Upper Cumberland region. The next nearest site in the Upper Cumberland is in Crossville, if that gives you any perspective. So you've got a big stretch right there where we don't have any available building sites to the east of Nashville in the Upper Cumberland. So we are very excited about that. I know this is your first reading for the Certificate of Public Purpose and Necessity. I think you went through that process with the previous county commission. Some of you are new to that. Be glad to answer any questions. I think you've got somebody that's working with you developing that. But also, you know, I'm not just coming from the Southern District. I'm also representing the other regional partners that market the industrial sites across the region. We're at work every day trying to land industries because that improves our medium income. It improves the quality of life for our participants, our citizens, and that's what we're in the business for. Be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions?
I'm gonna make one comment on that, sir. The 2 sites, that sounds good, bringing in employment and stuff, boosting the county and stuff. But you got an intersection over there, and sometimes during the day, you can't get through there on a bicycle. So we need to work.
We're working on that too.
Start working on the buildings.
Well, we've been working for at least a couple of years now on another interchange on Interstate 40. And that is something we communicate to TDOT regularly.
But what CDOT said, that there's nothing inside the next 2 years, right?
Probably not for the next 2 years. And keep in mind, to build an interchange, you're talking about a several-year process.
Right.
I will say this, they have funded the study that took a look at that whole area right there. The fact that they put money into researching that means that they realize the growth is going to occur. Obviously, having industrial sites, that is another draw. I mean, you've got the state that's going to be recruiting that property or marketing that property to try and bring industries in. Certainly, if you land any industry at all, that gets you ready for that interchange. You see what happened in Cookeville with Academy Sports. You know, they were in the hopper to have that interchange, the new interchange there built, but with Academy landing, that just sped that process up tremendously. So all these things working together are for the benefit of Smith County.
Smith County has 2 exits. Putnam County has what, 6?
They got 6 now.
And we're working, every time I see a TDOT person, whether it be a flagman or the executive assistant, I bring up our exit and what we need to get fixed. So, and we're working to get that took care of. We're not, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, so we're squeaking as much as we can.
I know where everybody's working on it, but, you know, why build something when you can't get to it, you know? It's like the bridge to nowhere, you know?
Well,
Understand.
They put $1 million towards it. They will
Yeah,
take care of the problem.
they're gonna have, they've got money invested.
So,
Any other questions for Mr. Farley? Okay, I would take a motion to pass the CPPN resolution on the first reading.
Motion to pass. Second.
Motion by Chaz, second by Mr. Schumate. I have a motion and a second to pass this resolution. Any discussion?
I have a question. In the resolution, here, Smith County is authorizing this resolution expenditure of $2 million.
Yes.
$2,061,000. Where's that $2 million coming from?
It'd be borrowed money.
Will we borrow money and we're responsible to pay back?
Yes. And that's why you have to pass this CPP in, because you're putting public money at risk, and you gotta go through, what we'll have to do is we'll have to pass this tonight, pass it again in September, and then we present that to the state, and there's a book, and the last one was about that tall with all the documentation in it. The engineers we're working with now have got it down to 2 books, it's about that tall. So once we get all this passed through, then we'll present that to the state, the Finance Committee, is that correct? Finance Committee, and that's a board of about 12 different people. So we will present that day, and they will give us approval. Once they give us that approval, then we could borrow the money to do the development.
And I understand it's a good thing, Mr. Mayor, it's, we just raised an ungodly amount of property taxes in an attempt to try to get out of debt and not go further.
Right. Right.
Can we afford to do this at this time?
The payment was kind of already figured in last year's budget. Is that correct, Daisy?
We did a estimate on the interest in case this all came about prior to this budget year. There will be some debt come off that will be paid off within the year. So the idea was that this debt would not create any new income,
Right.
any new property tax pennies having to go to 151 fund to fund this.
Right.
It will be paid for without what rolls off.
Yes,
Let me
sir.
also say, obviously, we've helped Smith County secure $2
Yes.
million in grants. We're going to continue looking at other sources.
Yes,
There are
there's-
federal sources we can go to. Any type of grant dollars we can bring in, we will. Try and
Yes.
go with
There's a new round, yes, new round coming, so.
So that 2 million something, that's to develop the
That is-
property
yeah.
that we own?
Yes.
I thought we were trying to sell that, or we were trying to sell it.
We are, but we gotta develop it to the 2 pads that everyone agreed on. That was how we would develop it, because to develop those 2 sites, it's 2 sites, it's about 40 acres apiece. One's a pad for a 200,000 square foot building, the other be a pad for a 100,000 square foot building. And plus the roads, utilities, and all that into it. But that'll still leave you 40 acres on the north side that undeveloped, that you wouldn't probably develop till you get these 2 sold.
So the pads and everything, was that in the terms of us buying the property in the first place?
Yes. See, all this was supposed to have been done last year. This one CPPN was supposed to have covered all of that. And there was some type of, Brandon, you can maybe talk to it a little better. There was a snafu between how a resolution wrote and that. So what happened was the state approved the purchase price, but they kicked the development price back. Is that correct?
That's a fair statement, yes.
Okay.
If this doesn't pass, then what? Are we just in limbo on
Yeah,
property?
we just own a piece of property. Or we're paying on a piece of property that's a hill,
That we
you
can't do
know.
anything with?
Well, I mean, we could figure out a way to, we could sell it as is, but or you
No one
could,
interested in it that way?
not the way, because of the way it lays right now.
Are we in any kind of binding agreement with the money
Sure.
that was given to,
Yeah, I mean, you'll be turning $1 million grant back into the state of Tennessee if you decide not to do this.
the timing's not good, but
It's not good.
sometimes
Agreed.
it's better to see past the end of your nose and see what the results will be
Right.
when this is finished.
So if we continue to develop this property, take this $2 million loan out, how, you're saying that we can sell these,
Yes.
are we gonna be able to sell these pads for what we've got in them?
Should be able to, yes.
Make money off of them?
How sure are we about being able to settle?
ECD said last week it will be the hottest property in the Upper Cumberland once it's developed.
And what kind of a time span are we looking at?
Just depends on when that person, we show it we talk about it all the time, and we're trying to sell it as is, and Mark can talk to that. We respond to RFPs every week.
Keep in mind how this process works. Obviously, you're naturally thinking about getting your money back that you have invested. Obviously, that's a prudent thing to do. But you also got to understand what an investment of this magnitude we're probably looking at. If you got any type of heavy manufacturing, you're looking at adding probably anywhere from $60 to $100 million on your tax rolls eventually. You're bringing in I'd be afraid to even guess what kind of payroll that you're bringing into the county right there. So the effect that you really want to get, while it'd be great to worry about getting your money back for the land you got invested, what you really want is that investment in that property and the wages that it's going to bring, and what that's going to do to your income levels and just the return through your sales tax and everything that's generated from that. So I'd encourage you to think long-term in this process. And it is a long-term investment that you're making. Odds are you'll land one, that other may sit there for a little bit. But like I said, Tennessee has consistently been one of the top first or second growing states when it comes to industries. We are a very attractive state. We've got a great economy right now. They have a lot of people looking, and the state is looking for assets to market. And believe it or not, there's not as much out there as you think.
Yes, sir.
How many acres will be developed on that site?
There'll be 2 40-acre tracts.
40 acres?
2 40-acre tracts. Any other discussion? I have a motion and a second. Roll call, Stacy.
Shannon Green,
What are we, make it clear what we're voting for?
To approve this CPP in the first reading. To give us the opportunity to go to the state and ask them if we can borrow the money to develop this project.
First reading, right?
First reading.
Yes.
Glenn Reese,
Yes.
Terry Givens,
Yes.
Billy Bass,
Yes.
Greta Kirby,
Yes.
Jason Stewart,
Yes.
Jimmy Winfrey,
Yes.
Daniel Cripps,
Yes.
Dalton Pascal,
Yes.
Shannon Minchie,
Yes.
Erica Abel,
No.
Ron Schumake,
Yes.
Ron Cowan,
Yes.
Linda Nixon,
Yes.
Toby McKinney,
Yes.
Barbara Knappel,
Yes.
Charles Kent,
Yes.
Bill Reese,
Yes.
Tommy Bain,
Yes.
Joey Nixon,
Yes.
Dennis Hackett,
Yes.
Dustin Dillahay,
Yes.
David Gross,
Yes.
Frank Woodard,
Yes.
Passes on first reading 23-1. Okay. Brandon, do you want to skip 9 and 10 and hold them for other business?
That'd be fine. What
Okay.
your preference is.
All right. Letter E is budget amendments. It is fund balance draws. Daisy, I'll let you kind of talk to those.
This section is just to go back over all of the fund balance draws that were in the minutes that you guys already approved. It's just a short list there in case y'all need to reference those at some point in time. It's just a section they added to the agenda.
Okay. So no actions on those. Okay. All right. All right. All right. That'll move on to item number 12, which is other business. Item number 1 is our cash management policy, and it is number 1. Brandon, I'll let you discuss that.
What that is, I'll just bring all these into, hopefully one fell swoop.
Yeah, budget, cash management, corrective action, and and the regular monthly meeting. That ties all ties in together.
This is somewhat of a comprehensive overview, but if we go back to our July meeting, you were presented a resolution for your review, and that dealt with the corrective action plan that was being proposed. Now, everyone should have a copy. Does everyone have a copy? Because I laid out copies for everyone. Simply put, this is the resolution to be presented. In your packet, you'll see a letter from Sandra Thompson that follows up the July 3rd correspondence that we received before our July 8th meeting. In that correspondence, you will see some of the things that we're required to perform in the way of a corrective action plan. And 2 of those items are to to develop a comprehensive Smith County cash management policy and also a Smith County fund balance policy. Now, in speaking with Mr. Queen, and that was, Ms. Denton spoke to him earlier this week, that we didn't have to have every line in detail of that cash management policy or that cash fund policy completed, but we had to have the commitment of what we were going to do in the form of that we're going to adopt one, and also some other requirements that they have with regard to monthly meetings, things of that nature. And this is what this resolution is designed to do. If you'll take note, as part of this, and also part of your package, there's a proposal for a new meeting schedule of 11 times a year, except for the month of December. It's also incorporated into this resolution as well. As part of the steps that we were to have taken in order to have that cash balance goal that we were shooting for upon the expiration of 3 years. Again, I'm bringing this back to an overview of what we've been through and where we're going with it. One of the things, and Ms. Denton, you'll help me out on this, part of the one of the goals that we were to have, in speaking with Ron Queen, that he felt like that a minimum cash balance goal of 30% of appropriations for the general fund by percentage of appropriation in anticipation of any shortfalls, revenue shortfalls, or unexpected contingencies. Some of those unexpected contingencies dealt with disasters, dealt with also, you can include your insurance deductibles and things of that nature. And these are all part of in the correspondences of July 3rd, July the 10th. And I know one of those correspondences is in your packet tonight. So part and parcel of this, also you'll note, is what you will be asking to approve is that, of course, department heads, elected officials that are going to make requests to borrow for operations or budget amendment, present that request in writing to the Budget and Finance Committee. That's not something that's always been done, but it's something that part of this resolution will now require. All major category requests also being submitted in writing to this body for approval, which would require the department head, elected official that is wanting that request to present themselves for questions by this body or any type of major category change that they would ask. Of course, part of this is going to be incorporated in our fund balance policies that we're not going to approve requests if there's not sufficient working capital to meet that request. And of course, there's also, we've been advised that this body reserves the right to impound funds or establish quarterly allotments for any department that sees available funds. So it's a tightening down a little bit of, not tightening down a little bit, but quite a bit of the way we do our spending. We have, under the Director of Accounts and Budget, there's other things that we've been doing as far as PO requests and things of that nature. Does anyone have any questions at all about this?
Going back to the PO request, when you're talking about the major expenditures, the things that need to come before the body here, what do you consider a major expenditure? A $5 washer or a $500? You know, what kind of money are you talking about? And the reason why I ask that is that I have an issue with the way we're doing our POs right now. We get a light bulb go out on the patrol car, light bulbs park, or patrol car parked for 3 days until we can get a PO from the mayor's office to go put a light bulb in the car, and that's ridiculous. You know, I've got one of my guys needing a battery, we're having to jump his car off the last 2 days because we can't get a PO. And I understand that we need to do these things, we need to have these steps in place, but at the same time, we need to have a little common sense with it too.
I understand this. I don't expect anybody to come before this commission over a light bulb. That's not what it's for. These are major items, things that you think of in terms of Mr. Cole needs a piece of equipment, large piece of equipment. And is there a definition for major item categories that you can?
The word major here is referring to category, not necessarily major expense.
That's
So
right.
major category is your 54-110 versus your 54-230. it's not necessarily a major amount of money or a major expense we're talking about specifically here.
So the PO process won't change? It'll be
Yes.
continues the same?
Yes, no, the appeal process is going to change. We're going to change that. We'll talk about that in a minute.
I have a question about, you said the minimum cash balance goal was 30%, right? And that was, how did we come up with that number? You said in discussion with Ron Queen?
Yes.
And it was in either July 3rd or July 10th communications?
No, that was not, it.
Okay.
That particular item was not in any one of those correspondences from Sandra Thompson. That was in the discussion with Ron Queen. We had a dialogue with him with regard to what he would recommend, and 30% was a reasonable figure, so 25%, but it needs to be somewhere in that range according to what, those discussions.
25 to 30% range?
Is that correct, Ms. Fanning?
Yes.
And is that typical of like other counties as well?
Yes. The counties that we have seen, but Cannon County is one of them. Seems like there are others, I'm drawing a blank right now, but I'm 99.9% certain Cannon County.
Most all the counties operate with a cash balance.
Yeah, I'm just asking
Yeah.
the percentage.
Of course, the ultimate goal is to eliminate the trend. I mean, that's the whole point. Anyone else?
Any other questions, discussions? So Brandon, basically, the only thing we're passing tonight is a resolution for the establishing the new meetings.
Right, that and of course, this is, remember they had that requirement of August 19th.
Correct.
They wanted to see something
Right.
in writing from this body. We talked about, there was a form of this that was put out to you from the knowledge that we had at that time. Since that time, this has developed into a little bit different. Each one of you were given a copy at that time. This is a little different than that. Of course, we have till August 19th. If you pass it tonight, or at least a version of this, we need to get it to the comptroller's office to show them what we've done.
So we would have to pass the regular commission meeting resolution first in order for it to be included in this one?
Right.
I would just keep it in sequential order that way.
Yeah, so
And I can go to that.
we're going to, I will take a motion on resolution 08-2019. That is the meeting schedule change. Ms. Linda makes a motion that we change, that we accept the new change. Frank makes, wait, I need a second and then we'll get discussion. Shannon has a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Woodard?
I got a question on that. If we have to have 2 readings on something, we're going now to every month, so that means we can vote on it 2 months in a row, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
This meeting the only one to actually call a special meeting.
Yes, from here on out, this will be a regular scheduled meeting.
That's what we're.
Yes, that's on there.
Has this been factored into our budget?
Yes.
How's it gonna?
Remember, we talked about it that night when you.
That was the first line item when we went through the budget, and we addressed that.
We all did that night.
Yeah, they bumped that, remember we bumped that money up? That was,
We had to increase our budget.
yes, sir, Frank.
Another question, why are we going every month? Just so I kind of wonder what that is.
Because that's part of this cash, because we have to report, Daisy and I have to report to you every month the cash balances and the expenditures of the county. Which is a good thing. Any other discussion? Questions? All right, we will roll call it. Stacy?
Shannon Green.
Yes.
Glenn Reese.
Yes.
Terry Gibbons.
Yes.
Billy Bass.
Yes.
Greta Kirby.
Yes.
Jason Stewart.
Yes.
Jimmy Winfrey.
Yes.
Daniel Cripps.
Yes.
Dalton Pascal.
Yes.
Shannon Minchie.
Yes.
Erica Ebel.
Yes.
Ron Schumake.
Yes.
Ron Cowan.
Yes.
Linda Nixon.
Yes.
Toby McKinney.
Yes.
Barbara Knappel.
Yes.
Charles Kent.
Yes.
Bill Reese.
Yes.
Tommy Bain.
Yes.
Joey Nixon.
Yes.
Dennis Hackett.
Yes.
Dustin Dillahay.
Yes.
David Gross.
Yes.
Frank Woodard.
Yeah.
Passes, all right. That resolution passes unanimously. All right, so now, Brandon, we've passed that, so part of our corrective action, is that what we're?
That's your resolution that we initially started out on. That's the document that's part of the handout.
No, so, all right, so now we are passing our corrective action plan that we have to have passed by the 19th of the state. I would take a motion to approve.
Motion approved.
Jason Stewart with a motion to approve. Second. Second, Linda Nixon. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All right. Roll call, Stacy.
Shannon Green,
Yes.
Glenn Reese.
Yes.
Terry Givens,
Yes.
Billy Bass,
Yes.
Greta Kirby,
Yes.
Jason Stewart,
Yes.
Jimmy Winfrey,
Yes.
Daniel Pritz, Dalton Pascal,
Yes.
Shannon Minchie,
Yes.
Erica Ebel,
Yes.
Ron Schumake,
Yes.
Ron Cowan,
Yes.
Linda Nixon,
Yes.
Toby McKinney,
Yes.
Barbara Knappel,
Yes.
Charles Kent,
Yes.
Bill Reese, Tommy Bain,
Yes.
Joey Nixon,
Yes.
Dennis Hackett,
Yes.
Dustin Delahaye,
Yes.
David Gross,
Yes.
Frank Woodard,
Yes.
And that motion passes unanimously. All right, so we've passed the corrective action plan and the regular scheduled meetings. The cash management policy, Brandon, that is not a resolution yet, correct?
No, what we had drafted would be a fund balance policy and a cash management policy. And probably at some point, we're going to put that forth to the Budget Finance Committee to look at and make the recommendations. You actually see the formal policy that we put together. That way, it can come back before the full body for your approval.
Yep. All right. So that covers items 1, 2, and 3 of other business. All right. Item number 4 is new committees. All right. If you look back in we have, just going off alphabet, about 31 committees. Brandon has been working to find which one of those are statutory that we have to have. He's got a list of that. What I am proposing, and you don't take any action on tonight, but what I will bring to you in September is we're going to sit down and take a deep, dark look at these and decide what committees we can do away with, what committees we can combine, how we can make these committees function more, where you guys will have like I said, when we talked about the committee reports, we don't want 31 different committees if 4 of them kind of touch, well, you just look, there's Parks and Parks Advisory, so so Parks and Parks Advisory, so why would we need 2 of those? So we're going to sit down and try to find different ways to make these committees better. My door will be open, my phone is on. If you've got ideas and would like to share them with me in the next, couple, 2 or 3 weeks, I'd be glad to take them. So what we'll do is we'll put some new committees together and shrink these down and give them a little, for lack of a better term, a little more teeth where they have a say. My vision would be is they would be based off budget items, and then you would, you would present your budget numbers for your month that, as a department head or elected officials to those committees. That way you're presenting those, and then those guys would present to the full commission. That way it's another level of oversight of protecting each other's, so that everybody knows, so we never go through what we just went through again. So everybody knows what's going on. That's my goal in this, is to make sure everybody knows what's going on. That's the same with the cash management and all this. Everything we're doing is to make sure that we are providing another layer of protection and oversight on our taxpayer money. So that's something we do. Like I said, my phone and office and email will be open if you've got ideas or suggestions on those type of things. We've kind of got a rough list together, but it's a moving target this moment as we move along, as we research what we have to have and don't have to have. So any discussion on that, or any?
I think it's a very good idea.
Thank you.
Next month, will you have the new committees by next month?
Yes.
Next month, will you have the appointments to those committees?
I'm thinking, I just thought about it a minute ago, we'll probably have to pass the new committees, and then you know, because if y'all rejected committee and don't really do any good to appoint. But I would have appointments, yes, so we would pass the new committees and then also, then right behind it, pass the new, elected people on those committees. And we're gonna look at those and change those, you know, how they, we're gonna take a deep look at those and how those are set up and make sure that we're putting the right people in the right positions. So, to make the right things. So, any other questions or discussion on that? Like I said, got any ideas or anything, holler at me. All right, number 5 is a new purchasing procedure. As we discussed, there's some few things that are purchasing, there's some hiccups, but we took it seriously. We're managing the money, and I know there's been some 2 or 3 day lags, and we're just trying to make sure there's money in the bank to pass these, and also that there's money in the bank in November, December, and January when the money starts getting tighter again until tax money starts rolling in. We don't want to we don't want to spend. We borrowed $1.5 million. We don't want to spend $1.5 million in July and August and be sitting there going, uh-oh, we got to borrow again. That's not smart. So we are watching that it's not personal. It's not trying to punish you. It's just we are watching our pennies every day. And I urge you I urge all elected officials, department heads to help with that. If you can make it, don't do it. If it's absolutely got to have, like a light bulb, we can probably try to get that to you quicker. But in that was a new purchase. That was week before last. I traveled to Montgomery County and met with their purchasing. We passed under the 1957 Act 2 years ago, which allows us to go to centralized purchasing. Well, under centralized purchasing, how they've got their set up is basically anything under $200. You get a purchase order, you don't have to have a quote. Anything from $200 to $9,999, you have to have 3 quotes. Anything from $10,000 to $24,999 must have 3 quotes on company letterhead. And anything over $25,000 goes to public bid. That's we're playing with those numbers and trying to figure out what's best for us and how we work that out. But that's where I know right now our $10,000 is our limit on public bids, but with we can move that to, if you pass that procedure, we can change that around a little bit to 3. But basically, the only thing that changes is that you got to get 3 quotes, anything over $200. You have to have 3 prices, instead of the way it's been in the past. And
The 3 quotes be written quotes, or how would they be? I know that you said the next step up is.
It's a letterhead. 3 quote. Yeah, we would prefer written quotes, all of them. But we can write that how we want to. We would prefer written quotes on all that, because that makes sure we're getting the right. Also traveled to Athens, Tennessee, and met with their government on how they manage their fleet and their fuel and stuff like that. So there's some things there we're looking at and trying to figure out our best way of how we manage our fleet of police cars, EMS, county trucks, everything like that. So we're looking at that. We should have you some kind of something with that in September as well. So just want to say and I know this is going to be hard and tough on because we're changing it, but I don't think any of us wants to ever be in the situation we've been in the past 2 or 3 months. So basically, we've got to change the way we do business and change our culture on how just because something's been done this way in the past, don't mean that's right. I want, like I said, every move that we're making right now, the changes with our cash management, these kind of things, is just to make sure that there's a level of oversight that this never happens again. That we are managing the taxpayer money the correct way, that we're outside of a F5 tornado, an earthquake, or a building falling in or something like that, we don't get in this situation again. We get out of the habit of living paycheck to paycheck. So that's my goal, and that's what I'm going to be attempting and striving to do for the next 3 years, is to make sure that we're doing the best. We're spending the taxpayer money the best way we can. That don't mean we're not going to spend the money on the things that we have to spend money on, but we will take a hard look at everything and make sure we're doing the right things and getting the right quotes and right prices. So, any questions or concerns on that or discussion? Yes, Mr. Stewart.
And like I said, I respect that, and I think those things that we do need in place, we need that oversight in place. But at the same time, when it comes to the regular routine maintenance of things that are required to be done,
right,
we need to have a little bit of common sense about those things.
But if we,
as
we-
well.
right, if we brought in our own fleet,
At the same time, and I hate to put anybody here on the spot, but how many POs would you say that the sheriff's department fills out on a daily basis?
On average,
On average, just average.
if you took a month's average, maybe three.
Three, four POs a day that we're trying to do. I mean, and like I said, it could be as little as a $2 light bulb or a
Right.
mold broke in the bathroom or something of that nature. And then when it goes to start affecting the actual performance of the people that's trying to do their jobs, and they can't do their jobs because we can't get a PO for 2 or 3 days, and that's a problem. And it's costing the county more money for a $3 light bulb to have to go spend 15 minutes to fill these POs out that we're paying these guys to do for. And that's, you know, there needs to be some common sense with that we're using as well.
What's your suggestion?
What?
Not that $200 cap or something, but, you know, when it comes to the smaller things,
What about standing POs, like small standing POs?
we had done that in the past, and when we went into spending freeze, we stopped those because we couldn't do them anymore, and we have not reinitiated those.
We can set limits on those standing POs. Like
What-
I know the ambulance service, and I know the sheriff's department needs little nitpicky stuff all the time, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Is there like a cap we can put on like a standing PO?
we can do that. We can look at that, yeah.
Things that,
But what we talked about was going to this fleet management where we bid those kind of things out, and if you have, if either we do it internally and we have our own person that does those kind of things and he manages, or somebody manages our fleet, or we tie that to a quote that X has all the maintenance for 6 months, so they have a 6-month PO for, use rough numbers, $20,000. All right, for 6 months, that's all you got, and that's oil changes, fuel, oil. And once we get there, then you still got to manage that money, and they have to manage it as well.
One thing I was going to say, of course, I can try to tell the chief how to do his job, or jail, or anybody else, but, I mean, like the sheriff's department, you got X number amount of Explorers, X number amount of Chargers. Why not buy 5 batteries at a time for Explorers, 5 batteries at a time for a Charger? So if one goes out on Saturday or Sunday, you just replace it, have one trustees to replace it, you're back on the road. We were instructed in the meeting that we were in, that we did one PO request for one item to be purchased. That's ridiculous.
at that time, that was when the spending freeze was on.
Right.
And we have not released departments to go back to spending at, basically.
It'd make more sense for Walmart or O'Reilly's to buy a case of light bulbs than it would to go out there and buy.
That's what we're talking about, going to a fleet maintenance type deal. And it may be managed under them, they get so much a month to buy those kind of things. We're working on that, trying to figure the best way to do that. Like I said, I traveled to 2 different cities and I've got 2 different ideas. That's not all of them.
I don't know how much I can say.
Yes, sir.
I mean, think, if you're talking about getting 3 bids on anything over $200.
Yeah.
So if we need to get an X-ray done, we gotta go from Riverview.
Well, that's a contract. I mean, you do that through your medical contract, right? Don't you have a contract for prisoner health?
We have a medical team in the back. We don't have a contract with Riverview or UMC. I mean, you're, when you,
I mean, this is not something that's going to happen tomorrow, but that's the kind of things. Bring that to us, something we can look at and figure out ways to do those. I mean, maybe that is the same when we go with, same deal with oil changes. We have a 6 month contract with somebody to do x-rays.
I'm not saying it's not a good idea.
Yeah, I know that.
I understand totally, because as a taxpayer, I understand, I like it. But sometimes you can spend more money trying to save money. I mean, who's gonna do all that? Get all those bids?
The person requesting the bid.
Yeah. Same person that's responsible for the rapes and the murders and the break-ins in the county. I mean,
Well, do you want us to take it into ours and give you what, you just send an email saying I need this and we send you back what you need?
I'd be pretty happy with that.
Well, you might not.
What's gotta be is gotta be.
Okay, well, I mean, all this is, like I said, it's my plan to have something for September. Maybe it's not till October, till we work all the bugs out and get, like I said, I just want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to protect our money and make sure we're doing the right things.
Maybe just a suggestion is.
Yes, ma'am.
Contact all department heads.
Yeah.
And see how that would affect them. You can
Absolutely.
Come up with issues like that, where it would be.
The lady in Montgomery County said they didn't have, they, of course, again, they've been doing it for 32 years, and I didn't have, when they talked to the person who did the first year, I'm sure they pulled their hair out, and everybody did too. And it comes, when you change the way you do things, there's gonna be pain, there's gonna be, but the short-term pain gets you to a long-term better, I do believe. I mean, when you change the way you do things and be smarter with how you manage your money, for lack of a better term, it's a culture change, is what we have to do to make sure we're doing the right things. So, one other thing that we're looking, we're going to do is our Smith County government website is going to be overhauled. We talked about being more transparent and getting more stuff out there. We're going to take that website and spend the money and make sure that like tonight's agenda will be put out there, bid notices put out there. We've talked to some local vendors, like if somebody new moves into Smith County and they're researching Smith County and they want to know how to get their power turned on, there's going to be a tab on our website that says Upper Cumberland, click. And they go right straight to Upper Cumberland's website, they get their power turned on through the website. We're in an electronic world. Not everybody's doing it, but people are looking for ease, and that website can make or break you, I do believe, as far as getting new people here. So if we do a better, more update website that shows our tourism, our businesses, whatever, our government agents, our agendas, the cash expense reports that Daisy and I put together every month, it'll be right there where people can see it. Those kind of things, we'll maybe, Kobe's streaming them now. We can archive our meetings on there at some point in time. So those kind of things. But that's something else that we're looking at, and that I don't know that that's not going to be part of an IT committee that we set up going forward, or how we do that. So that's just a couple things that I'm working on to do. So any discussions or questions on any of that? No. Well, I thank you for your time, and I'll take a motion for that magic one.
Motion adjourned.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Shannon.